Now on BBC One, the news with Ben Brown in the studio and Jane Hill at Buckingham Palace.
Good afternoon. We are live at Buckingham Palace as commemorations begin to mark the 80th anniversary of VE Day, the end of the Second World War in Europe. Tens of thousands of people, including members of the royal family and veterans of the war, have been watching a military procession through the capital. That was followed by a flypast of aircraft, including the Red Arrows, watched by the King and Queen and other members of the royal family from the balcony of Buckingham Palace. Today's events are the beginning of 4 days of commemorations up to the actual anniversary on Thursday. Around Britain, street parties are in full swing on this Bank Holiday Monday.
I'm in Meltham in West Yorkshire, where one of thousands of street parties are happening up and down the country.
And this is the scene live this afternoon in London as we bring you all the details of the events so far. Hello, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Buckingham Palace, where the King has led the first commemorative events to mark 80 years since VE Day, the end of the Second World War in Europe. Thousands of people are gathered here. Some of them arrived very early this morning to secure a prime spot on the Mall behind me to watch that military procession through the centre of the capital. It was a particularly moving sight this year, with dozens of veterans watching, many of them, of course, well into their 90s, some of them older. Today is the first day of commemorations leading up to Thursday, the actual anniversary of VE Day. Members of the royal family, including the King and Queen Camilla, watched a flypast just in the last few minutes by the Red Arrows. They stood on the palace balcony just behind me watching that, and it really was quite a spine-tingling moment, and there was a very loud round of applause as the Red Arrows went over behind us here. We will be live in the crowds here and at a street party in Yorkshire as events take place around the UK. First, our correspondent Charlotte Gallagher reports on the day's events so far.
8 decades on, central London stands still and remembers.
My dear friends, this is your hour. This is not a victory of a party or of any class. It's a victory of the great British nation as a whole.
The words Winston Churchill spoke in 1945, telling a relieved nation the years of war in Europe were finally over.
Not only will the people of this island, but of the world, wherever the bird of freedom chirps in human hearts, look back to what we have done and they will say, do not despair. Do not yield to violence and tyranny. March straight forward and die, if need be, unconquered.
The emotion of that day caught on camera as crowds rushed to Buckingham Palace to witness the wartime leader with the royal family. 80 years ago, Alan Kennett was one of millions. Today, he is one in a million.
Thank you and your generation for securing our freedom 80 years ago. May I have your permission to start the parade, sir, please?
Carry on, sir.
"1,300 servicemen and women make their way down Whitehall, past the Union flag-draped cenotaph, and monument to those lost in war. Joining the British, Commonwealth and NATO personnel, a group of Ukrainian soldiers. A reminder of ongoing conflict in Europe. Then towards the Golden Victoria Memorial, where veterans sit with the royal family. The Princess of Wales chats with Bernard Morgan, a 101-year-old D-Day veteran. While the Princess Royal talks to Gilbert Clark, who lied about his age in order to join the RAF as a teenager. The youngest royals meeting some of those who sacrificed so much for our freedom. And Prince Louis making sure his father's uniform is spotless. Having witnessed the procession, the veterans are taken into the palace for a tea party with the royals. In 1945, thousands came here to celebrate the end of war in Europe. In 2025, thousands have come here to celebrate that wartime generation. And waves from the King as the royal family arrive on the balcony. Leading the RAF flypast, a lone Lancaster bomber, the aircraft that played such a pivotal part in the war. And concluding it, the Red Arrows roar over the Mall with their red, white and blue smoke trails. The royal family will now spend the afternoon with veterans, remembering their comrades, reflecting on that hard-fought victory and our 8 decades of freedom. Charlotte Gallagher, BBC News.
Well, as we saw there really are many, many thousands of people out on the streets of central London, down the Mall here to witness all of those events today. Let's head to Sarah Campbell, who's been talking to people here.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. So many stories here from people, reasons as to why they wanted to come down to the Mall today, and they got a great sight with the red arrows flying over them. I want to introduce you to the Brown family, because they had a member of their family who had an even better view than we all did. Neil, where was your father?
Hi. So my dad today was over on that stage. He was in the RAF during the Second World War. He had his invite to come to the palace. He's been very excited. Those boots have been well and truly polished today. So he's probably there having a cup of tea and a sandwich right now, but we're very proud of him.
So this is your dad, Norman. He was an engineer during the Second World War, and he was literally on the raised platform sitting behind the King and Queen.
He was right behind the King and Queen. We've had people message us all the time, so I've just seen your dad on telly, so he's going to have a fantastic time. He was so excited by it all. We're also very proud of him today.
Indeed. Xander, your son, he wants to be an air cadet, and that was inspired by your granddad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Scarla, you came down as well. How proud are you of your grandfather and what he achieved during the war and today?
I'm so proud of my granddad. Like, everything that he's ever done for us and for everyone, it's so amazing. And just to be able to spend this day and have that amazing time, it's been so good.
And Kathy, Norman's wife, how proud are you?
Extremely proud. The whole family is. We're all here for him.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's to the Brown family. And Norman Brown is among the veterans who are inside Buckingham Palace at the moment. They're at a tea party being hosted by the King and Queen. Back to you, Jane.
Oh, Sarah, thank you. Yes, we will have more on that later this evening. But today, of course, a bank holiday, so people are being encouraged to get together to remember the sacrifices made in the Second World War. Street parties are being held in many parts of the country. Let's join Josh Parry. He is at one in Meltham in West Yorkshire. Josh.
Celebrations are all about commemorations, but also about celebrations, and that's exactly what is happening here on Tinker Lane in Meltham, West Yorkshire. Look at this. We've got a whole fleet of Wallace Jeeps. We've got husband and wife Martin and Pamela there, give us a wave, who have brought these along to help the streets celebrate VE Day. And of course, it couldn't be VE Day without a traditional street party. Take a look at this. The residents have pulled out all the stops here. They've been baking, although some of the cakes are store-bought, I think. They're here. And the brains behind all of this is Marie. Marie, I'm just going to cut across here. Marie, tell me, why is an occasion like this so important for the community?
Well, we get together on any occasion that we can because we enjoy being together. We all get on well, and it just makes it a very nice street and a happy place.
Who makes the best cakes?
I'm going to say, well, I should say my house, but I'm going to nominate Barbara here.
Oh, what do you make of that?
What's that for?
The best cakes in the street.
Well, it might be the biggest, but it might not be the best.
Well, unlike London, there may not be any royals here in Meltham and West Yorkshire, but they are clearly having a royally good time.
Josh, thank you. Josh Parry there. Well, we'll have more from here at Buckingham Palace in a few minutes' time. First, though, let's head back to the studio for some of the day's other news. Let's join Ben.
Jane, thank you very much. Israel's Security Cabinet has approved a plan to expand its military operations in Gaza, which is said to include capturing and holding the territory. The Israeli military has called up tens of thousands of reservists in preparation, with the aim of increasing pressure on Hamas to release the remaining Israeli hostages. It's understood Israel will wait until after President Trump's visit to the region next week before launching its new military action. Here, police are continuing to question 5 men over an alleged terrorist plot in the UK. Raids were carried out around England over the weekend. 4 of the men arrested are Iranian nationals. In a separate operation, 3 Iranian men were arrested in London in relation to a counter-terrorism investigation. Police said the 2 operations were significant and unusual in their scale. President Trump has said he will impose a 100% tariff on films made outside the United States. He's claiming that Hollywood is being destroyed by other countries offering what he calls big money incentives to produce movies, including the UK. Meanwhile, President Trump's also announced plans to reopen the notorious Alcatraz prison of San Francisco so that it can hold some of what he calls America's most ruthless and violent offenders. Let's go to Nomia Iqbal, who's in Washington for us now. Nomia, tell us more about these 2 sets of quite controversial proposals.
Well, in terms of the tariffs, this is all part of President Trump's belief that the rest of the world is ripping America off and he wants to bring production back. And it's true, lots of US movies are made abroad, in Canada, in New Zealand and in the UK. So much of that is because it's cheaper, tax incentives and fewer union restrictions. I mean, the UK is heavily involved in producing US movies, not just for the major studios here, but for the major streaming platforms. Exactly what the tariffs would look like, how they'd be implemented, we don't know, but it would have a huge impact on the UK. And in terms of Alcatraz, another vague idea with very few details, hugely controversial, as you mentioned. Look, Alcatraz hasn't been open, well, it was closed more than 60 years ago, and that is due to crumbling infrastructure. It would be so expensive to reopen Alcatraz, and it would be massively impractical, but it's a pretty splashy headline. In many ways, it's pretty Trumpian for Donald Trump to sort of suggest this. I mean, I should mention Alcatraz, of course, has also been the subject of many movies. Pretty much every American would know what Alcatraz is. Nonetheless, Donald Trump is determined to try and get it reopened because he wants it to house, as he describes it, the most violent and dangerous criminals in America.
Nomia, thank you very much. Football news, and Trent Alexander-Arnold has confirmed he is leaving Liverpool when his contract expires at the end of the season. He's been at the club since he was 6 years old. In a statement, he said leaving Liverpool was the hardest decision he has ever made. The 26-year-old is expected to join Real Madrid before the start of the Club World Cup this summer. OK, let's return now to Jane at Buckingham Palace for more on those commemorations marking 80 years since VE Day. Jane.
Ben, thank you so much. Yes, the sun coming out again here at the palace. An awful lot of people still around in this central area near the palace, making their way up the Mall. This today, the first of 4 days of commemorations, of course, as we build up to the actual day itself, Victory in Europe Day, which we remember the 80th anniversary this coming Thursday. And all week here on the BBC, we are hearing from people about their memories of war and of that day that peace came to Europe. Annie Duplock was a land girl in the Women's Land Army, the civilian organisation created to bring women into farm work, replacing the men who'd been called up to the military. On VE Day, Annie was 22 and was working on a farm. She's been speaking to us about her time as a land girl.
They're all dressed up for the harvest, Land Army girls who, a little while ago, were making dresses or dressing hair. Now they're raking hay while the sun shines.
I still like to dress up like this, you know. This is my hat, original hat, and these trousers. These have got 1943 on the back. That's my 4-year armband. It's a bit faded. I've done 4 years in the Land Army. I'd go back if I could.
Ladies and gentlemen, we cows are in a very serious predicament. There are not enough people to milk us, and the Land Army needs 30,000 volunteers this year.
I could see all these adverts, and I went home one night and I said to my mum, I'm going to join the Land Army. And I was 16 and a half and I was supposed to be 17 and a half. I used to be up to all them sort of tricks, you know, to save me. And the farmer liked me because I was left-handed. If he knocked a nail in and he couldn't do it with his right hand, he used to say, come on, Nan, he used to call me Nan, and knock my nail on.
This was the British people's finest day. V-Day, the end of the German war.
I heard it on the radio and we all went mad. You were thinking about them that didn't come back. Everybody was shouting and singing. Yeah, you still miss them. We had a bit of a party ourselves on the farm. And then when milking were done, we went up to the town to see what was going on. And there were all tables in the middle of the road, everywhere, and everybody were having party. It weren't, you know, this end, that end, all mixed in. And then, you know, the kids used to be shouting and squealing and excited, playing about, knocking cups of tea over. Oh, I had to go back at night to get the milking done. Couldn't leave the cows with
Annie Duplock there, remembering VE Day nearly 80 years ago and her time and her service in the Second World War. And in the days to come, of course, we will hear much more from many, many British veterans across our programmes. And we will be back here from Buckingham Palace later on this evening, but we'll just pause right now. We will take a look at the weather prospects with Louise Lear. Hi, Louise.
Hi there, Jane. I'm so pleased that the showers stayed away. A brisk northeasterly wind keeping the flags flying proudly at the moment. But just take a look at the showers. They've been very hit and miss across East Anglia, South East England as well. 1 or 2 just arriving for the end of the flypast. But pretty much the type of weather you've got at the moment is what you're going to keep. So still the threat of showers in the southeast. Closest to the centre of the low, beautiful blue sky and sunshine. And this weather pattern is going to continue. So underneath the centre of the high, clear skies, but this brisk northeasterly driving in, plenty of cloud coming in off the North Sea as we go through tomorrow. And that said, underneath the centre of the low is going to be quite a chilly start to tomorrow morning. Low single figures, maybe even a touch of light frost as well. So as we go into tomorrow, we are going to start off with a chilly start, some sunshine around, but quite promptly that northeasterly wind feeding in some cloud and again still some showers. So west will be best in terms of sunshine and warmth once again. We're likely to see highs of 18 degrees on exposed North Sea coast, only around 12 or 13 as a daytime maximum. As we go towards the end of the week, the high pressure, however, though, is going to drift its way steadily eastwards, allow this southeasterly flow to take over, a warmer air source. So as we head towards the weekend, it looks quite promising. A lot of dry and settled weather in the forecast. Temperatures could be back up into the mid-20s. Back to you, Jane.
Oh, Louise, thank you. Well, that's excellent news because there's many, many more commemorations to come this week and many of the veterans are having tea in the palace at the moment and there are street parties up and down the country. In a moment, it is time for the very latest wherever you are. But let's just remind you of the events marking VE Day so far from us for now. Bye-bye.
My dear friends, this is your hour. This is not a victory of a party or of any class. It's a victory of the great British nation as a whole. We were the first in this ancient island to draw the sword against tyranny. Every man, woman and child in the country had no thought of quitting the struggle. Do not despair. Do not yield to violence and tyranny. March straight forward and die, if need be, unconquered.